So the New York Giants lose on Monday Night Football 37-18. Definitely not the type of final score you thought you would see at halftime. It was a very close game throughout. The fourth quarter, the Cowboys outscored us 21-0, I believe it was. So it was a very close game at one point, but seemed like after that black cat ran on the field, everything went downhill for the Giants. But we need an excuse, so that's the one thing I'm going to point out. There's a lot to get into this game. I guess we'll start with the offense first. So some notes there. We had to settle for 3 after the interception. That was the first drive for us. Of course, Bethea had the interception. Giants had to settle for 3 after that. So that's not good. They had too many field goals today, too much settling. They needed touchdowns, obviously. You're not going to win in the NFL against a team like the Cowboys, who have been very efficient offensively all year, if you're just settling for field goals. Ballantyne was great on the. I don't know why I said Ballantyne because it was Cody Latimer. So disregard the name there, but Cody Latimer was great on the kick returns. Had like 2 really good kick returns. Got to the 25 most times. Really didn't lose us yards. I think the very last one he might have like gone down at the 20, but for the most part he was really good on the kick return. So not Ballantyne, Cody Latimer. Darius Slayton needs to fix the drop issues. He had 1 drop in this game on there's the left sideline. I think it might have been a first down. Needs to fix that kind of stuff. So I mean, I'm not out on him completely. I think he'll be fine, but just needs to fix that. That's the one thing that we don't like about him, obviously. The offensive line, they were not good in this game. I thought they were pretty good against Detroit, but they were rated like the best pass blocking offensive line against Detroit, but then today was horrible. Daniel Jones was sacked 5 times in this one. Saquon Barkley had no holes to run through, so very bad showing for the offensive line overall. Barkley had 14 carries for 28 yards, and I tweeted this before. You need an offensive line. If you're a great running back, you could be the most talented running back in the world. If you don't have an offensive line and the surrounding pieces around you, you're not going to be successful. That's part of my argument as to why you should not invest highly in a running back, because it depends more on the pieces around you. So that's just my whole point about that. So some play calls were really good in this game. I think back to the goal line play with Cody Latimer in the back of the end zone, where it looked like he was going to set a pick and then goes to the corner. 2 Cowboy defenders go for the receiver cutting in, but then Latimer's in the corner of the end zone by himself. It was a really nice play call by Shermer. What else do we have? So we saw a couple of read option plays. I think 2 or 3 of them with Daniel Jones on a keeper. So we don't see that too many times. You love to see that, of course, because the Giants don't run that too many times. You have a quarterback that can now run, so you might as well do it. So I was happy to see that at least. Golden Tate had that ridiculous one-handed catch where he was out the 1-yard line. Awesome play, really good throw as well. Just an awesome catch by Golden Tate to get his feet down and just hold on to the ball. And a bad thing here was Daniel Jones had 3 turnovers. So of course he had the interception at the end of the half. That was a risky throw. I did not think he should have made it. They were playing like a very deep zone defense. They had 1 very deep safety that was seeing everything, and Slayton really had no chance at that ball. I think Slayton was the receiver on that play. He had no chance at it. Just an easy interception for the Cowboys. I think they got 3 points out of that to end the half. There was the fumble where he was trying to make a play. I'm fine with that. That was the one play I wasn't really too pissed off at. You're trying to make a play. You're trying to pick up a first down. I think it was like a 3rd and 6, and he tried to take off and run the ball up the middle, but he ended up fumbling that ball, so that sucks. But the last one was just garbage time for the Cowboys defense, and that actually won me a fantasy matchup, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. So the Cowboys defense got a strip fumble at the end, and then he brought it back for 6. There was a flag on the play. I don't know what the flag was. I feel like they didn't even announce it, but I guess the flag was against the Giants, or they picked it back up. So anyway, it was a fumble return for a touchdown. That made the final score look a lot worse than it actually was, and Daniel Jones ends up with 3 turnovers. So now let's get into the defense. So on defense tonight, everything started off great. I think like the first play of the game it was Dak Prescott goes through the slant, and then it's intercepted by Bethea. The Giants have great field position. Everything's looking great. And unfortunately, the defense got worse and worse as the game went on, honestly. That's really what happened. It seemed like DeAndre Baker struggled heavily in this game. I mean, the first week against the Cowboys, he struggled as well. Gave up like a couple touchdowns in that one. But I don't know what happened in this game. It looked like he was trending in the right direction. You figured he'd be a lot better. Now 9 weeks into the season, I understood the week 1 struggles. It's your first NFL game. But now, like, to struggle in week 9 against this team, I don't know. He had that one incident where everyone else was in, everyone else was in man coverage. He thought it was a zone, and then that was the big play where Amari Cooper had the touchdown. I have that listed on the bottom. I'll get into that later. So he was the culprit there. He gave up a big play to Cooper on a different play as well. So, I mean, he just struggled struggled mightily in this game. Jason Witten and Blake Jarwin once again killed us. So I think Jarwin had a long touchdown at one point. It was a play that Janoris Jenkins completely whiffed on a tackle. Kind of reminded me of the Curtis Riley play from last year. It wasn't to that extent, but still was a terrible effort. I don't know what was going on with that play. Jason Witten as well had, just a couple of easy play action plays where he just leaks out on the backside and just, picks up 10 yards or something like that. One of them was like a missed tackle, and he picked up like 25, 30 yards. So Jason Witten, as usual, just killed the Giants in this one. Did not score a touchdown, which is surprising, but still, receiving yards wise, he killed the Giants. Zeke was getting whatever he wanted. It was just easy for him. The offensive line for the Cowboys just overpowered the defensive line for the Giants. It seemed like every single run Zeke was getting at least 5 to 8 yards. I don't think Zeke had like a huge 25-plus yard run, but he was just getting chunk play after chunk play. It was 5 to 8 yards every single run, and it was very frustrating to watch because you felt like the Cowboys were able to do whatever they wanted with this Giants defense. I mean, once they get their running game going, obviously, it's over, and they were getting at least 5 yards, it seemed like, on every carry, which was very annoying. Randall Cobb against Ballantyne. So Ballantyne filled in for Grant Haley in this game, which is a nice change. It's good to see the Giants at least trying to change things up here. And Cobb beat him very badly on what we thought was the first touchdown of the game for the Cowboys. Turned out to be a penalty. They held him to 3. So he had that one not so good play, but outside of that, I think Ballantyne was all right today. He gave up some third down conversions to Cobb, but like nothing big. He definitely was not the worst Giants defender on the field tonight, so we'll see what they do with him and see if he continues to play next week. The Jets next week have a really good slot receiver in Jamison Crowder. It's not like he's just physically it's not like he's physically gifted or just ridiculously talented, but it seems like him and Sam Darnold have a really nice connection, so we'll see what happens in the slot defense for the Giants next week. So Leonard Williams had a quarterback hit on a 3rd and 13. That was his big moment in this game. Believe that came in the first half. Williams was pretty quiet throughout this game. That's kind of what you get. I mean, I have to go back and watch everything. I'm probably going to watch the coaches' film stuff and try to look at exactly what Williams did in this game. But his name wasn't called out too much. He had a couple run stops in this game as well. So I could be wrong. I mean, he could have like 8 tackles for all I know. But just thinking off the top of my head, I feel like he did not do too much outside of that play. There was a 3rd and 6 pass interference call on DeAndre Baker that I thought was ridiculous. I mean, first off, I don't think the ball was that catchable. And then second, I don't think it was a foul. I really just 2 guys just like hand fighting each other, just going for a deep ball. I really did not see any pass interference there, but I don't know. It's not the thing that lost us the game, so I don't want Giants fans to be like, oh, we only lost the game because of the refs. It's like, no, you can't blame the refs for a loss like this. That's not happening. But I just thought it was a really bad call and pretty big momentum shift for the Cowboys as well, so that definitely hurt. And, of course, the 3rd and 12, it was the Giants were down 23-18. If you hold them to a field goal in that possession, it's still a one-possession game. They were on the 45-yard line, so they could have forced them to punt there. But then, of course, Amari Cooper has a 45-yard touchdown. That was the play where DeAndre Baker was the one playing his own defense, and everyone else on the field, in the secondary at least, was playing man coverage. So that'll kill you, obviously. If one guy screws up on defense, it can cause a catastrophe, and that's exactly what happened right there. 45 yards later, the Cowboys take a big lead. If my math's correct, that's when they went up 30-18. So the game was basically over after that. The Giants' next drive was very ugly. It was like a screen pass to Barkley. They, Sean Lee blew the play up for like -7 yards, and they threw like a little check down to Engram on the next drive. It was 4th and 15, so they punted. Giants were getting booed off the field, so it's bad. That was a very rough fourth quarter, one of the worst quarters I've watched for the Giants in a long time. So, it was disappointing for sure. So now I want to get into some general notes, so let's get into those real quick. So I threw this in before, but it can't go unnoticed that the Giants really started going downhill after that cat was on the field. I don't know what correlation that has to do with anything, but if you're superstitious, the black cats aren't good, but I don't know. If you need some kind of excuse as to why the Cowboys won this game, you can blame the cat for it if you want. So they were down 16-15 entering the fourth quarter. It was a very close game. It kind of reminded me of that Patriots game from week 5, maybe it was, the Thursday nighter. You guys know what I'm talking about. And it was a close game throughout. Like the first 3 quarters, the Giants were within like 7 or 8 points of the Patriots, and then they lost that game like 35-14 or something like that. So the final score looked really bad, but like they were in this game for a lot of it. So like the Giants were definitely in this game for 3 quarters, but then in the fourth quarter, just the wheels fell off completely. So now in the season, they're 2-7. There's no chance at making the playoffs, basically. I don't think anyone's ever made the playoffs after starting 2-7, so of course that's not going to happen this year. And I want to talk about Dave Gettleman. I mean, you guys know how I feel about him, and it's just annoying because everyone wants to blame Pat Shurmur and all that kind of stuff. And I agree that Pat Shurmur should be held accountable for some of the issues that go on with this team, but I think more of the issue is not only Gettleman, but also James Bettcher. I mean, we have to put some blame on this guy as well. Like, I always see fire Shurmur, but I never see fire Bettcher. It's weird how that works. I mean, the Giants defense struggles a lot, but for some reason we don't want to blame the guy whose defensive scheme it is and the guy calling the defensive plays. That makes no sense to me. Like, if you're gonna fire Shurmur, like, why not fire Bettcher first and see if we fix something here? But I think all in all it comes down to a talent issue. And with Gettleman, it seems like he always gets a pass by Giants fans because they just want to believe in him. Like, when you switch GMs, it kind of sets you back a couple of years because, like, the new GM needs to bring in his new guys. And the Giants fans, I feel like, just have, like, this false hope for Dave Gettleman that he'll be the guy to get the job done. And I just don't see it happening. Like, I think, obviously he found the quarterback of the future, it looks like, as long as Daniel Jones fixes the turnover issue, which I think he will at some point in his career, hopefully next year, obviously. I think he found our quarterback of the future, and that's fantastic, obviously. That's the most important thing. But just because he found us a good quarterback for the future doesn't mean he's the answer at GM. And I saw someone tweeted this. I'll try to put it in the video. He's a good scout, Gettleman. Like, he has a good eye for talent, like, drafting players and stuff like that. Obviously, he's not an analytics guy and doesn't really have an understanding of positional value and all that kind of crap, but he has a good eye for talent. Like, I'll admit, he's had some good, draft picks since being here. You think about Will Hernandez and Lorenzo Carter. I mean, I'll even throw Saquon Barkley in there. I mean, that was a no-brainer, obviously. We all knew he was going to be a good player. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, DeAndre Baker, if he works out, and Dexter Lawrence, if he works out. So, I mean, he has an eye for talent, but at the same time, like, I don't know if he has what it takes to be a good GM in the NFL. And, of course, we're going to give him all the credit for Carolina, even though the core of that team was already there before Gettleman arrived. But, we always blame Jerry Reese, and Jerry Reese does deserve some blame for where the Giants are at right now, but a lot of this team right now is Gettleman's roster. Like, last year, it was still a lot of Reese guys, but now it's like, how many Gettleman guys or how many Reese guys are starting for this team still? Like, maybe two? Like, outside of Tomlinson and outside of Sterling Shepard, who's not even playing right now. And Gettleman gave him an extension anyway, so I really don't think he should be considered a complete Reese guy at this point. But, outside of those two guys, like, how many of these guys are Reese guys? It's like there's only two, I feel like. You think about, I'll go through the offense right now. So the whole offensive line are Gettleman guys. I think Jalapeno was a Reese guy maybe. Sorry, that's one guy, but Gettleman likes him and he stuck with him. So Sterling Shepard's the only receiver that's a Reese guy, so that's two total. Obviously the quarterbacks, I mean, I'm going to say Daniel Jones, so I don't really count Eli Manning, of course. Running back, Gallman, I think, was a Reese guy, so he's not a starter, though, so that's two. Jalapeno and Sterling Shepard, that's two right there. And then on defense, outside of Dalvin Tomlinson, is there anybody that's on Jerry Reese, like from Jerry Reese? I really don't think so. Janoris Jenkins, that's one right there. But it seems like Gettleman likes him as well, so I can't completely blame Jerry Reese for that. It's not like Jerry Reese stuck him with a terrible player on a terrible contract. I understand Jenkins' contract's not great, but the Giants decided to keep him through the deadline, so that must tell you something about how Gettleman feels about him. So, two starters, basically, on each side of the ball, but we still blame Jerry Reese. There's 11 guys on the field for each, starting side, but, we're going to blame Jerry Reese for all the problems. It makes no sense to me. I mean, at what point do we hold Gettleman accountable, guys? It's like, I don't know, for some reason we just continue to blame Jerry Reese and we give Gettleman all the free passes in the world because he found us a quarterback, and a lot of people think he's the reason Carolina went to the Super Bowl and they want to keep believing that he's the right guy for the job. And look, I mean, I came on here the second, or probably within the week he was hired and said, like, I don't like this. This is not the guy I want leading the Giants. And look, I've been wrong before. It's not like I'm right about everything, but like I was pretty dead set on, like, I don't like Gettleman. I don't think he knows, how to build an NFL roster. Not saying I do, but these guys, it's their job to build a team, and Gettleman's shown no improvements with this team whatsoever. I mean, you can say, like, oh, he's drafted some good players and stuff like that. Okay, but when do the wins start coming? He's already been here for almost 2 years now. He came in week 16 of 2017, so he's almost been here for 2 years now. And I'm not saying I expected to make the playoffs this year, but I expected to be competitive. I thought the Giants would be a 7-9 team, and they could still do that, but it's getting ugly. I mean, 2-7 is not good. If they lose to the Jets next week, things are going to get really ugly around here, and it might cost some people their jobs. I would think it's Betcher first, and then maybe Shermer if things really start getting really bad. But I think Gettleman and Shermer are safe to the end of the year, as I said, but I don't know. I mean, if things get really bad this year and they win less than like 5 games, you might see Shermer and Gettleman go. I really don't know what's going to happen. I still think both of them stay for next year if I had to guess right now. But if they go 4-12 or 3-13 this year, I mean, like, can you really stick with these guys anymore? I mean, I don't know. You guys know I don't think all of this is Pat Shermer's fault. I think he takes way too much blame for what goes on with this team. But at the same time, I don't think Shermer's a great coach either. Like, I don't think Shermer's a potential Super Bowl winning coach in the future. I think the Giants could do a little better with their head coach, but I also don't think it's all Shermer's fault that this team is 2-7 right now. So I don't know. I'm trying to look at this in the most logical way possible, but at the same time, we have to hold Gettleman accountable. You know, it's his roster on the field. These players are not that good, and at what point do you start blaming that guy and pointing fingers at him? So just annoying to me, honestly. I kind of wish we would just give Shermer and Gettleman the blame. I don't know why it's just Shermer, but it is what it is. So I think Shermer called a pretty decent game throughout. He had some questionable decisions, obviously. Like, he took Evan Ingram off the field on a 3rd and goal situation, or like a 3rd and 5 from like the 10-yard line. That was a little concerning. I don't know if Ingram wanted to come out or if he was being checked for an injury, but why would you take your best receiving weapon off the field in a 3rd and 5? That made no sense to me. But I don't know. Outside of that, I really have nothing to say. I'll definitely, if the losses keep getting bad, I'll definitely just keep ranting about this. But it's annoying, just to come out. And I was excited for this game. I mean, I tweeted about how I thought the Giants might win this game. I had a good feeling about it. I usually don't have good feelings about the Giants, but for some reason tonight I had a good feeling about this team. And, I felt good 3 quarters through it. But then, of course, the wheels fell off in the 4th quarter. So it was annoying. And, it's disappointing. You can probably tell by the tone of my voice and stuff. I'm just worn out with this team, and it's the same crap the last 3 years, and I don't trust the guy in charge right now, and it's a crappy feeling, because when you don't trust the guy in charge, what are you supposed to look forward to? Like, I don't look forward at all to having Dave Gettleman spend $90 million in free agency, or $70, $80 million, whatever it is. I don't trust the guy. He's made 2 good free agent signings since being here. I mean, he's had some terrible contracts, so I don't know what to believe in. I mean, at least for the Brooklyn Nets, my favorite basketball team, I trust their GM a lot, and I was definitely buying into the rebuilding process and stuff like that. Like, I'm a patient fan when it needs to be. I understand that in order to be a good team and to win championships, you have to start from the bottom and rebuild. Like, signing guys to terrible contracts in free agency is not going to win you championships. So I understood that. I shouldn't be dying anytime soon. I definitely have a lot of time to wait for this team to be good, but Gettleman, I think I have no idea what's going on with this team. I mean, I was patient with the Nets. They went on to make the playoffs last year, and I think their GM is terrific, Sean Marks, but Dave Gettleman is the complete opposite in my mind. I don't trust the guy whatsoever, and nothing's really changing in my mind. So once again, terrible start. They have the bye week after next week. They play the Jets, obviously, next week. A game they should win. They should be favored in that one, but if they lose to the Jets, then you never know. I mean, this same Jets team beat the Cowboys just 3 weeks ago, so it's not like it's a layup, but at the same time, it's they should win this game because they just lost to the freaking Dolphins. So I don't know what's going to happen. The Giants should win that game, but of course, we'll get into that as the week goes on. So if you made it to the end, this is probably a long-ass video, but if you made it to the end, I appreciate it. If you want to rant about the Giants in the comments, go ahead. I might respond to it if I agree and stuff like that, but sometimes some comments are ridiculous, and I just ignore them. So, I don't know. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you for the preview video. I guess that'll be on Thursday, so I'll talk to you guys next time.